So thanks everyone also for introducing yourself. If you did message into the session, I really appreciate it, and hopefully it can kind of stimulate how it would be like if it were in person. But thanks all for joining my workshop as well. I really appreciate it. My name is Anne, and today I'll be presenting you People Success equals Hackathon Success. So to get started, the following quote is the idea that really sparked my interest in wanting to host this workshop. So I'll read it out, but it's, if you give a good idea to a mediocre team, they'll screw it up. But if you give a mediocre idea to a brilliant team, they will either fix it or throw it away and come up with something better. And this is written by Ed Catmull. He's one of the co-founders of Pixar. And this quote was really the driving point in regards to my idea for this whole workshop. So this is foundational to my belief that really the team is actually what makes the difference in regards to the quality of whatever you guys are trying to host or whatever you want to execute on. Because likewise to this, what this quote really iterates is the fact that the team is what matters, and they will figure out whether or not what you have in front of you is working. And it's foundational to whether or not you will achieve success in whatever project you're taking on. So before I actually want to dive into the content, I'm just going to do a quick introduction of myself. So my name is Anne. I'm currently a fourth year at the University of British Columbia. I'm also the incoming co-president for NW+, and I previously held the role of sponsorship director and sponsorship coordinator within the team. And then I'm also a podcast lover. So these are a couple I just threw out there. And on the left is our team at Hackcon last year. Unfortunately, we can't be in person this year, but hopefully this is just as good. And thank you, Christopher, for sharing my love for 99PI. But yeah. Also, I want to just iterate that at any point, if you have any questions in regards to what I'm saying or just want clarification in regards to what I'm throwing up here, feel free to send it into the session. I might not get to it immediately, but I'm trying to keep an eye on it as I'm going through the content of my workshop. Awesome. So to jump on into it, the goal of today's workshop is really just to give you the tools and to establish and create your ideal team, and with that, to achieve your own definition of success. I don't want to prescribe what success means to you. I just really want to share my experience over the past year as sponsorship director, and also what I'm looking to do this year as co-president within NW+, and share what insights I might have taken from last year and what I'm hoping to do this year, in hopes that you will take something away from it. And I also call out clear action items to help you figure out how to manage your team, especially within this time of remote life. So yeah, to quickly run through the agenda for today, I want to really iterate the home of the point of trust and how it's actually foundational to what a team is. I want to talk about just defining individual motivations and goals, and then the role of the overall lead / the role of leadership within your overall organization. And then I just want to do a quick closing. The preface on this is that this is going to be a safe space, and it's going to be a space where I hope that each and every one of you are willing and able to share your stories. There is also the feature of up to, I think, 4 people hopping onto the call and sharing your video and voice audio as well. So feel free to do that if at the points where I'm asking for participation, and please do participate, because I think that's really how Hackcon is so valuable and so special in regards to being actually able to talk to other people. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then also I want to just drive home the point that this is very much my take on it. Like, don't feel like you have to listen to this to a T, and it's very much take what you think is valuable and leverage that within your organizations. So let's jump into the first topic. So what is trust? This is like stereotypical screenshot from Google, but to me, trust is defined in Google. Trust is the firm belief in the ability, reliability, trust, the truth, ability, or strength of something or someone. So this is the belief that you can count on someone else. There's also another definition that I want to speak to, but this is really the starting basis of what I want to bring about the idea of trust. So with that, trust to myself, and jumping off of the previous point, is really the culmination of the individual relationships that form the fabric of an organization. Because when you think about it, trust is just how you interact with the other people within your organization, and you have a trust relationship with every other person within your team. So this kind of brings about the idea, so why does trust matter, and why am I bringing this up as something that I driving home as the first point in my talk. So I think that trust is foundational to the success of any team because it allows other people to feel safe, whereby they are able and willing to share their ideas. And I think this is foundational and fundamental to being able to achieve success within any organization, because if you aren't willing to share your ideas, or if you aren't willing to hear out the ideas of others, this really breaks down before you can even accomplish anything. So it really drives home the point that trust is at the very basics, the ability to hear out other people and the ability to feel like the ideas that you want to and are willing to share are going to be well received by the other individuals and are willing to be heard out. So this kind of brings about the idea of a trust battery, and one that has really helped me understand what the role of trust is within an organization and why it really matters. So how I want each of you guys to think about this is that whenever you join a new organization, you pretty much know almost no one or next to no one when you join. So with that, when you actually join, you will be creating a trust battery with every single other person within the organization. What that means is that you'll have a battery charged at around 50% with each relationship that you build within the team that you're on. And as time goes on within your role, your battery will increase or decrease, and this affects ultimately how your relationship with these other individuals go. So how you can increase your trust battery, for example, is by being able to meet the deadline that you both mutually agreed upon, or being able to be relied upon, or you had seen the reliability of another person, and as a result, you think, oh, I can trust this person more and more. And slowly over time, this trust battery increases. Likewise, it can go the other way, whereby if you told someone that you needed something from them and they didn't deliver and they were never clear about their communications in regards to what was going on, your trust battery decreases because you come to believe that you can't rely on this person. And as a result, they won't ever be able to fulfill on the asks that you give to them. And this is what I really want to drive home in regards to the fact that trust is actually the culmination of each and every one of these little actions that you take on a day-to-day throughout your role within any team. And that's really how trust is built or destabilized within any organization. Likewise, you can't just start off a team and just say, hey, we're going to be a trusting team going into this year, right? Like that just starts off everyone at the 50%, and you don't actually see increases or decreases based on just one single statement. Rather, it's going to be the culmination of the little actions throughout the year that really determine whether or not you trust your team and teammates. So the aside that I want to take on trust is also that this quote by Brene Brown, and it's the fact that when you allow yourself to be vulnerable and trust others, they in turn will trust you. And this kind of has been foundational in regards to how I treat trust and how I try to foster trust within any team and within any role I find myself in. And this is to say that it's a lot easier when you are able to give the trust to someone else such that they are able to trust you, whereas it's very, very scary and frightening to be the first one to initiate that trust. But I think that the rewards and the role of whatever you might be within your organization is to actually be able to give that trust in the first place, such that you believe that the reciprocal will be received. And that's really what I want to drive home in regards to the role of trust and why I believe that you should be trusting of other individuals. So this kind of ties together the action item that I want out of this section is that to allow your team to achieve their full potential, you actually need to trust them to achieve their full potential first, and then they in turn will give you the trust that is required to actually achieve the results that you want to achieve in a sense. And I guess to elaborate on this, because I know I've been talking about it in a lot of fluffy terms, I want to speak to this story that I had this past year in regards to why I learned trust was so foundational to my team ethics and my overall leadership style and how I believe teams should be operating. So like I mentioned earlier within my talk, I was actually the sponsorship director for NW Plus this past year. And what NW Plus is this an organization that actually organizes 3 different hackathons throughout the school year. So we actually help MLH run the local hack day at our school. We also run NW Hacks, which is the largest hackathon in Western Canada. And then we also run Command F, which is the Vancouver's first all-female asterisk hackathon. So it was a long journey in regards to finding sponsorships for all 3 of our events. And I had taken on the sponsorship director role at the very beginning of the year, very fearful of what I was going to realize and what my role actually meant. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I felt very ill-prepared in regards to what I was trying to accomplish. And so I felt the need to micromanage pretty much everything that was going on, and felt the need to just be in on the loop, because I was scared that if I didn't know what was going on, that something was going to go astray or awry. And obviously, when you can hear that, it doesn't sound reasonable, but at the moment, it felt very reasonable to me. So what it was is, at local hack day, which was the first hackathon of our year, I had felt this belief in this fear that if I didn't know what was going on, then it was going to go awry. So I had found myself being the main point of contact with most, if not all, of our sponsors for that event. And I felt the flip side of it, whereby my team didn't actually feel engaged or feel like they were participating or being valuable in regards to what the actual event was. This led to a lot of burnout, a lot of frustration, and a lot of lack of commitment from my team. And as a result, if in turn of their lack of commitment, I felt like I didn't even need to bother, because if they weren't bothering, why should I bother? And it was a very negative cycle and a very toxic cycle to find myself in. So I kind of took a step back, talked to the co-presidents of my club at the time, and being like, hey, here's the scene and I'm laying it all out. What can I do, or what should I do within this? And it kind of forced me to take a step back in regards to, like, what is the situation and why do I find myself in here? And then what types of teams do I actually remember that I felt good about, and how do I want to recreate it here? So it was definitely taking a step back and realizing that I am not able to do everything, and I should not put that expectation on myself. And also, I should actually give my teammates the opportunity to actually step up and really realize the full potential that they can actually achieve within this as well. So for NW Hacks, it meant a lot of delegating and giving out what I had previously taken on, and taking a big step back from micromanagement, and really believing in my team and trusting that they would be able to do what I had hired them for, and really what I expected them to do. And it was such a relieving experience, and it felt so much better than LHD. And it was being able to understand that sometimes people will mess up and sometimes people will learn out of that, but the learnings that they come about from being able to screw up makes them remember these experiences so much more than anything from you being able to tell them the one sentence that you want to them to achieve. And I think that that's really what I learned, and was a driving home point in regards to my screwing up, was also really driving home the point to myself that trust is really what is foundational and key in regards to actually realizing success within your organization. So this goes to show that trust is not easy to come about, and it's definitely something that takes time and energy and effort to build up. And it's also definitely really hard to establish, and a lot harder than just saying, hey, we're going to be a trusting organization this year. But likewise, I think the benefits out of reaping it and fostering it and letting it grow are so much more valuable than just saying that this is not something that I'm going to be bothering with. And it was essential from my point of view in realizing the success that we got, and being able to realize the amount of sponsors that we got, and also just the overall positive experience that each of my coordinators felt by the end of the year. So yeah, hope that gives you a bit of context in regards to my background, and also why I came about to this idea. In terms of next steps that I want to throw out to you is, okay, so now that we've talked about how a trusting team is foundational and why you need to talk about and why you should actually foster a trusting team, I want to speak to the point of the individuals within your team. So going back to the outline I kind of threw out, I want to speak to the motivations and goals that are relevant to enabling the individuals within the cohesive team that you've gotten with the trust that you've achieved. So the first thing I want to define is motivation. So this is something that's worth understanding. It's that everyone on your team will have different motivations in regards to why they show up every day, and understanding that will help achieve understanding within the overall team. Because oftentimes you find yourself being like, hey, if I'm willing to commit 110% to my team, and I have that underlying belief that everyone else on my team should be doing the same thing, this can often lead to conflicts and misunderstandings in regards to the expectations that you set for yourself are implicitly placed on other people. Whereas if you're able to actually speak to the motivations and why other people are on this team, some people might want it as a learning opportunity in regards to just knowing how to work on a team, whereas others are like, hey, I just want to learn how to ace sponsorships and get that in on my resume for the year. Understanding that and seeing where different people come from will really be foundational into being able to actually achieve a cohesive and understanding team. And it also gives you a much easier time in regards to this upcoming year for understanding where each individual comes from. So the point I want to drive home is just understanding how to determine motivations and also why it matters and how it helps you in the long run. So this actually is unrelated to a hackathon, but it's from my personal journey in regards to an extracurricular that I was taking on. So this was a constant battle back and forth in regards to this club called JDC, and I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to commit to it. And it was a lot of back and forth with my friends in regards to, do I do this, do I not? And then also speaking to the leads of the club, and also a lot of internal conflict in regards to why am I applying, why do I want to do this, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that being able to sit down and really define for yourself, why do you want to do what you want to do, really matters. And it'll be so helpful in the long run when you feel like you are stumbling to refer back to these. Because if you lose sight of what actually motivates you and what is keeping you grounded and what's keeping you in the game, in a sense, it can have long-term detrimental impacts in regards to just feeling motivated, demotivated, burnt out, and no lack of commitment in regards to what you want to do. And that's where I found myself with this club. But it was just being able to ground yourself and understand and define for yourself, hey, what is the role that I'm doing? And then what is the motivation in regards to what I'm doing? It really helps in regards to when you do feel the burnout or the demotivation that encounters you. So this is actually where I want to throw in the first activity. So for 5 minutes, I think we might be able to use the networking tab, and or feel free to just idea on your own if you don't want to speak to someone else. But define one motivation of yours in taking on the role that you have. It might be within your hackathon, it might just be within any club that you find yourself in, or just even a job that you have. So it's really just determining, why do you do what you do, and why do you want to do what you do? And then hopefully after these 5 minutes are up, we can get a couple of people to share, if in video and audio format, or you can just send it into the session and I can read them out. But I would definitely appreciate if some people were willing to come onto the moderation panel and share 1 or 2 sentences about their role of what they're taking on, and also what their motivation is in regards to the role. So pause for 5-ish minutes here and really just reflect on this question, and feel free to send any questions to the chat if you have any. Thanks for sharing, Harsha. If you want to, do you want to hop on video as well? You are no way obliged to, but I think you can click into add to moderation panel. Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, I think, can everyone else see Harsha as well? I think I have the moderating down. I think you should be able to be seen by everyone else. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so kind of what I was saying, the same thing in the chat, was one of the big motivations to like be organizing hackathon is like just the fun of working with the team, you know, like there's so much more that we do beyond just the hackathon, and like that we do as just friends and as a community, that it's such a big motivational factor to like continue being a part of that team.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And thanks for sharing. I think it's definitely like when you have those crackhead energy vibes is what we call it within our club, like at 3 a.m. when you're at the hackathon and nothing's going right, but it's fine because it's 3 a.m. and no one's really awake. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing, Caroline. Do you want to hop on video as well, or I can just read out what you want to share?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so basically my parents are both like non-technical, so personally when I like first started getting interested in computer science, I had like no idea where to start, and it was through hackathons. Like I networked very personally with people, and I asked them about their jobs and stuff, and it was really important for me. So I want to give back and have that, like, give that same experience to other people starting out in the field.
Thank you for sharing, and I really like that idea, and I definitely second that in regards to just feeling like, hey, I got such an amazing experience. Now I want to do the same for other people. Yeah, thank you. And then, Mohammed, did you want to jump in as well or no? It's up to you. Yay. Oh, did I lose you? Oh, no.
Can you hear?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. So I think my main motivation is that I really enjoy community building, and I've been doing it in one way or another for a long, long time, even before I started working on hackathons. And what's important to me is knowing that no matter what type of work I do at an event or outside of it, impacts someone somehow positively. That's really nice. Yeah,
I think so too. And then definitely being able to hear those back to you is like a confidence booster in a sense.
Dude, absolutely. Like the post-event surveys just leave you on a high.
Yeah.
At no end.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. I really
appreciate
it. And then, Christine, did you want to jump in as well? I think it's laggy. Sorry, friends.
Hi. Yeah, so coming from me, like I come from a non-technical background. Like just a couple years ago, I didn't know anything about tech or hackathons until like a friend of mine introduced me to it. So I didn't realize like how many opportunities there are within tech and also the kind of people that I learn with. So I think one of the biggest motivators for me is that I want to kind of give back to like to the people who aren't really technically inclined and what they can contribute to the tech community. And also like after the event, you kind of see the impact you have, like not just on our hackers or our sponsors, but also the motivation that kind of comes from the organizers as well. Yeah. I know that it's such a big thing that like people, it's a really tiring thing for sure to be working on this for a really long time, and you kind of see people's waves of motivation and like inspiration, and at the very end you kind of see that everything was really worth it.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Oh, Trey, you want to hop in as well? There's a lag. I'm sorry, friends.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
My name is Trey. I'm from Rowdy Hacks in San Antonio, Texas. And my motivation is simply to empower others, because there's just nothing more rewarding than seeing people start from just a simple idea and building it up into something really great. And that has the potential to change things for the better in our society, or just give us something new and fun to enjoy. And to see people, especially newcomers, be able to build something from the ground up is just very rewarding, especially when they like show off their swag, say they've had a good time. You know, it's just, when I was a sponsorship director last year, it was just probably the most rewarding I'd felt in a long time during that hackathon. And I definitely want to empower others again this coming year.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think that's a really great way to summarize all these answers. I think it's just about empowerment and just giving back to the community that kind of served you in the first place. So I really appreciate you hopping on, Jim. Yeah, so definitely if you didn't get to share, thank you to everyone who did share. I think that's what honestly makes the difference in regards to these workshops, being able to hear it out from the other people's perspective. And I really encourage you guys, even if you didn't share today, just to really be able to try to define what your motivations are, because it's honestly super useful when you do feel that burnout to reflect back on these and look back on these in regards to like, what is it that actually drives me to do what I do, and how am I trying to achieve that in regards to the day-to-day things that I do. Awesome. So the next thing that I want to speak to are goals. So I guess for some people, these tie hand in hand in regards to motivations, but I really want to speak to is that goals are really the accomplishment that you want to achieve at the end of the year. And in teams, everyone will have a different goal, and being able to actually understand that different people have different goals, likewise to the motivations, will really help in regards to being able to actually help your team achieve what they want to achieve. This is really important because I think that when you're in the leadership position especially, you oftentimes think that, hey, everyone will have the same goal I did when I was in their position, or likewise, they might just have the same goal as me. But being able to actually tailor the role such that you are helping the individuals accomplish the goals that they have ahead of them really helps them be able to have, first off, just a positive overall experience because they were actually able to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. And then second off, just being able to be considerate and empathetic in regards to what they actually want to achieve in their role, and how you might be able to tailor the role in the way that they are able to see through what they want to do. So likewise to the motivations activity, I want each of you guys to actually take the time to define one goal that you might have for this upcoming year. This can be something that you want to accomplish in regards to like just a numerical number that you want to throw out there, or a skill or something that you want to gain from your experience. The one question I really like throwing out during my one-on-ones is like, think of the skill set that you have right now or the things that you accomplished today, and then think about yourself come the end of your role or the end of the term with whatever organization you might have. And this can be the hackathon you're in, or it can be just a club that you're in, or even just a job that you have, whether it be part-time or full-time. And then you can think about how you want to be different once you end that role. So once I end this role of co-president for this upcoming year with NW+, what do I want to be different about myself? What skills might I have wanted to gain by the end of this? What numerical metrics do I want to have achieved within my role, et cetera, et cetera. So I really want you guys to take the time to just take hopefully 5 minutes, maybe less, and try to define one of the goals that you might have in your role this upcoming year. And then feel free to either click moderation panel to hop on and share it, or feel free to also just send it into the chat if that's more comfortable with yourself. Give it like 15 more seconds, and then I'll kick it off if no one wants to throw it up there. Frida?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I'm glad it worked. So I'm Afrida. I'm part of a hackathon called We Hack, and it's going to be our first year of like launching it. So
Wow.
one of the big things, thank you. One of the big things is that we have a lot of people who are so new to hackathons, like they've never been one, they never heard of it, but they were so eager to jump on it. So, and I have a lot of those in my committee. And one of my goals is to really get them to like hackathons, to be encouraged by it and not be afraid to participate in them. And then like another big goal, since I'm part of sponsorships, is to be really comfortable with reaching out to industry mentors and hopefully build that community rather than just asking for money.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's a hurdle in a sense to like figure out how do you actually get comfortable, but I think it's practice makes perfect in that sense. But thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. And good luck.
Not a problem.
Anyone else want to hop on? Yeah, I think Carson, that's a really good point too. Don't know if you want to help them, but I definitely second that in regards to just understanding end to end, especially when I had a role as sponsorship director. I had no context in regards to how logs teams ran or even how a dev team runs, and just being able to understand big picture what it looks like to actually execute on a hackathon is very valuable, and I think a really good thing to try to understand. Yeah, I think to speak to, I guess, throw out another example for myself this upcoming year. As co-president, speaking to what Harsh just mentioned, I don't think I had full scope in regards to how to lead a team, especially because NW Plus is actually 49 people for this upcoming year. And we still need to add a couple of first and second year reps. So it's definitely really taking a step back and understanding what it means to be managing and helping build out a larger team versus when I was sponsorship director and I only had 6 people within my team. So it's understanding bigger scope, what it means to be able to support everyone on your club without feeling like you're micromanaging or anything like that. So that's definitely one of the goals that I really want to understand, and how to have a step back, let's say back leadership, but still feel like you're in the trenches with them and you are beside them in regards to helping them through this upcoming year. So yeah, I think I'll get to tips for hosting MLH Hackathon maybe later, because I'm going to try to get through this workshop before we run out of time. But one of the things that I wanted to share is this is actually a goal worksheet that I got a while back at a different event. Didn't throw it out there because this is definitely much more than a 5-minute activity. But what it is it's something to help you kind of create a SMART goal, but without needing to necessarily do the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic time sound. These kind of build out your goal into a much more bigger picture. So looking at it first, it's like commitment. Why is this my goal? I'm doing this because. And this kind of drives back to the motivation points that I spoke to. The next piece is like what's first. So what is the first thing that you want to do to actually get started towards getting to what you want to accomplish? Accountability is how will I stay on track? My village, if you're speaking about this in terms of your hackathon club, it's likely that who are the key factors in regards to helping you accomplish your goals. And then the momentum, it's when I don't want to work, I will remember what are the key things that will help me keep motivated and willing to actually work towards these. And then adaptability is like when times get tough, my strategy is to do what? What might be leaving things or stress relievers that'll help you get closer to what you want to achieve. And then the checkpoints are obviously the smaller goals that you want to put in such that you will accomplish the bigger goal by your due date. So this is kind of just a way to break down the SMART goal framework without needing to necessarily feel like you're saying, oh, what is the specificity of this goal? What is the measurable? What is achievable? What is realistic? And what is time bound? It's definitely something that it's a tool if only you want to use it. Like you don't feel forced to have to use this, but it's something that I found useful, especially when I was writing my first couple of goals, whereby I didn't even know where to start. And it feels really guided in a sense to help you figure out what it is you actually want to accomplish. So yeah, in regards to summarizing this overall section about individuals, what I really want to throw out to you guys, whether you're in a leadership role or you're just on a team, is to really understand where your team members' motivations and goals are, and to really have a firm grasp of these, such that you're able to speak to them and help them achieve their goals, but also keep that in mind when you're trying to be empathetic towards other people, because sometimes your motivations of like expecting that you're supposed to be committing 40 hours a week might not match that of other people's when they're like, oh, this is very much of like a 5 hours a week part-time job type thing. And having that in mind helps you create a much better relationship than being mad or frustrated in regards to them not meeting the same amount of commitment that you are meeting. So the last point I want to speak to is just what is leadership. So kind of like what I did with what is trust. This is like a typical definition. So the actions of leading a group or people or organization. For myself, I actually want to hone in on this more. It's just to be able to help each of the members on your team realize their full potential. I know this takes on a bit of a more servant leadership point of view on this, but that's what to me is the definition of leadership and why I want to be a leader and how I hope to be a leader within my team. This might change or adjust depending on what you want to see out throughout your club, but this is definitely something that this is the lens I'm taking on, and this is how I see leadership, and it affects how I'm going to portray the next couple of slides. So keep that in mind, and this can adjust based on what you believe leadership to be defined as. So this kind of, the whole section in regards to leadership, I love the team canvas, and I will plug it in a second actually. But yes, in regards to the whole leadership thing, this kind of summarizes what I want this whole talk to be about. So it's the fact that one-on-ones are a great way to facilitate understanding of motivation and goals. And it kind of is the next step in regards to if you want to understand the motivations and goals of your individual, please do one-on-ones, whether it be with your direct reports or like people even underneath that. One-on-ones are a great way to facilitate understanding of just where people are coming from, how they feel about doing things. And it's where I hope to leverage the team canvas, which is something I will also mention in a second. The other thing is, as a leader, and what I would hope and ask of each one of you guys is to create and foster a trusting environment by opening up and being vulnerable with your team. So this kind of drives back to the first point of this whole talk, whereby a trusting environment is only achievable and realizable when you are putting the trust in the people around you such that they can trust you in return. So the last thing is actually what Harsha mentioned, but it's a team canvas. And I absolutely love this thing, and it has been my go-to tool in regards to how I conduct one-on-ones, and also just like how to create your ideal team and how to foster understanding within your team. So the team canvas that I think Harsha linked in the session is a bit different from this one. This is one I actually stole from an internship that I did a while back, but I like this in regards to the customization of it a bit more. But the team canvas just does just as well of a job in regards to this. I think a team canvas is super useful in regards to being able to understand where the people on your team are coming from and what they want to accomplish. And it kind of summarizes this whole talk in regards to a sheet of paper. And I really would like to drive home the use of a team canvas, whether it be within your one-on-ones or actually just setting aside a meeting time within one of your weekly meetings to actually get everyone to just complete a team canvas. And then you go around the table sharing each of these boxes. So for example, it can be the reason I come to work, which is kind of defined and alludes to the motivations piece that I talked to earlier, and being able to understand where each person's motivations are coming from, and having that understanding really helps you in fostering trust and fostering understanding within your whole team. So yeah, the last story I guess I want to leave you guys off with is the power of the team canvas. So I used this when I first stepped into the leadership role a bit over a year ago within sponsorship director. And I really found it useful in being able to help define the goals of my team, and also being able to helping them realize their goals because I had them at the back of my mind. Being able to, I think it was shared by other people also previously within the session, but being able to actually help someone realize their goals gives you a feeling unlike any other, whereby you know that you had a hand in getting them the confidence boost that they needed to feel confident and able to actually realize what they wanted to do. So this throws it back to one of my sponsorship coordinators who actually stepped up to be the sponsorship director this upcoming year. And she was very much hesitant at first in regards to being even in the tech world. But over the year, I got to see like what were her goals, being able to define them, and then setting up clear actionable steps such that she could actually accomplish those goals. And then at the end of the year, she ended up being the one stepping up, and it just felt really heartwarming and really happy on my end and on her end in regards to helping her see through what she wanted to accomplish. So I think it goes both ways in regards to being able to accomplish a team canvas, whereby you are able to actually custom whatever you want to do and help the other person, and also it gives them a clearer vision in regards to what they actually want to achieve and what they want to get out of actually taking on the role in the first place. The last thing I think is just, oh, I clicked the wrong way. Yes. So it goes back to just create that team and just make sure that you have a trusting team that also is just understanding of each other. Why does any of this matter again? So I think this just drives it back to the Ed Catmull quote that I mentioned at the beginning. It's the fact that if you give an okay idea to a great team, they will just throw it away or come up with something even better. And in regards to the big picture of a hackathon or any really organization that you take part in, the ideas that come about and the execution on it will actually determine how hackers feel or how sponsors feel or how anyone who's involved with the event feels. So when your team of organizers is very strong and sound, they will in turn create a better experience for your hackers, which will in turn create a better experience for your sponsors, and which will kind of just be this self-fulfilling prophecy and really positive feedback loop that's able to accomplish what you want to accomplish and help see through what you might want to realize. So yeah, thank you for coming to this talk. I left a couple of minutes at the end for any questions, comments, concerns. You can hop onto the moderation panel if you want to throw out the question audibly, or we can throw it into the chat session as well. I have also a list of resources that these are a couple of books that I read that kind of inspired me to do this talk, along with the Ed Catmull quote, and a couple of resources that I pulled from. And then if you want, you can also just do a quick contact me. NW plus email, but also LinkedIn and GitHub if you want. But yeah. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want clarification on? Yeah, also feel free to reach me on LinkedIn if you have any other questions, or you can message me on Discord, and or I think there's a live chat feature in Hopin, if I believe, but feel free to just search my name up and you should be able to find me. Thanks, everyone.
Hey.
What's up?
So I had a couple of questions, and they sort of deal with how you try to like have this trust and success, especially when the team size grows, because it's sort of easier when there's only like 5 or 6 people within one small team. Like you really get to know each other, but when there's like 50 people, like there's no chance that you're going to be able to talk with every person on a regular basis. Like how do you build it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think in regards to how we've done it on NW Plus this past year, one thing that we've really focused on is actually having donut dates. So I don't know if you know about it, but we use Slack and a plugin is called Donut Dates. And what it does is it actually pairs you up for like a quote unquote coffee chat with someone else within the organization. This is obviously probably something that helps when it's a bigger team because you don't know everyone. And so you're able to just talk on a weekly or bi-weekly, however often you want to schedule them basis. And then you can chat with them in regards to like anything from school to life to anything in between. And Donut has a couple of really good prompts too. So that's one thing that we've been using, and we think that it really helps in regards to just feeling like everyone else on a team is an actual person in a sense, and getting to do that. So that's definitely a one-on-one connection type way that we've been doing it. Another person in our team also actually started NW mentorships, which is actually just like a very casual / relaxed mentorship program that we run internally. What she did was she like threw up a Google form, and it was like very casual in regards to like, what do you want to get out of it? What do you want to be a mentor or mentee? And then she did a couple of pairings like that. I think it's very much of like smaller initiatives that you have to take on throughout the year, such that you give people the place to be able to talk to each other. It was definitely a lot easier before COVID because we would do like a beach social, or like you just go to someone's house and you play like Animal Crossing or something like that. And it's a lot easier to foster that talk that way. But I think with COVID, it's a lot of figuring out what works remote and what doesn't. I think it's definitely finding opportunities to just be able to foster organic conversations that really helps people trust other people, because really when you think about it, friendships are fostered the more time you spend with another person. Like, it's not necessarily doing any explicit actions that will create a tighter bond. It's very much just time, and also time will help you in the big picture to create trust. Another thing is just like creating places whereby people can just chat casually. So we also have like Zoomers, which is just a Zoom call that we run throughout the week that people who are working full-time, because of quite a couple of people are in internships or in school, and you can just hop on or ping our Slack channel whenever you're available, and then whoever else is available will hop on as well and just chat casually in regards to like how you're doing. And also we run Pomodoro, which is a work technique. So we all jump on like a mutual timer, and we work for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break together and just like chat about random things. So I think it's just really creating the ability to actually have casual conversations. So
that's a really good thing you bring up. Yeah, just I really like that idea where you were promoting just casual conversations like between random people with the Slack button.
Yeah.
That might be something that I actually take back.
Yeah, no, definitely. Take what you need. Don't feel like I'm prescribing everything that you have to do. It's definitely just like figure out what works for you and take it from there.
Absolutely. And I was gonna add one more smaller thing, which is like, have you thought about or tried before like having people on different teams work together on something? Like,
yes, yeah. Wait, go ahead. I think you're gonna elaborate.
Yeah. So what I kind of meant was like, if you have a marketing team, you have a logistics team, maybe a technical team, and what commonly happens is like people will talk to just their teammates or whoever they report to, but there's a lot of things where you can create tasks that involve like multiple teams or multiple people together. So for example, if it's web design, you can pull people from your marketing and from your technical teams, or if it's like sponsorship from logistics and industry or something like that. So in those situations, would you say it's beneficial to like partner people up or split tasks across different teams?
I definitely think it is. That's actually one thing, funny that you mentioned it, because it's one thing that my co-president Allison and I are really wanting to focus on this year, because last year it felt definitely like the silo take on your team is just your team and you really don't even know the names of the people outside of your team. So it's definitely something we wanted to tackle and really figure out this upcoming year. I'd say there's 2 different ways to take about it. There was actually a talk by, I don't remember her name, but an organizer from Hack the North who did a lightning talk last year, and she talked about like project teams, whereby like the project is registration, for example. So it's not just logistics that is taking part of it. It's actually anyone who wants to step up to the plate and help out with registration on the day of, to actually be part of like a project team that comes together and really tackles that. I know it's different in times of COVID because responsibilities are a bit more segregated, but that's one way to go about it. What we've done this year is, because we have 3 different hackathons, for example, we actually have like a lead from sponsorship sends a lead for every single one of those hackathons. So for example, one sponsorship coordinator will be the lead for local Hack Day sponsors. And as a result, they'll actually oftentimes sit in on the sponsorship meetings of that hackathon. Likewise, like because we have 3 different websites to create, what we do is we send a design lead and a dev lead, and they will organize those and have those happen. What we also do is we have, I don't know how you do it within your club, but we have all hands and we have weekly team meetings. So all hands is when everyone in the club comes together. And then we do off weeks between all hands because they're every 2 weeks, and we have roundtable. And what roundtable is, it's actually just time for people who have problems that they've come up with within their teams that they're like, hey, the overall team should probably engage with this conversation. And we have discussion items at roundtable rather than trying to just run through, here are updates, here are what we need to do, because that doesn't feel very engaging. And then like one of the recent discussion items we had, for example, was like, how do we want to approach first and second year reps this upcoming year? Like, it's going to be remote. How do we ensure that it's still an engaging experience? How many do we want? For people who were first and second year reps before, what did you find worked and what did you find didn't work? So it's really being able to foster discussion and have people, give people the ability to engage in conversations that don't necessarily just concern their immediate team. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
It really did. Those were great topics to think about.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks for hopping on and asking your questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we're at time, but if anyone has any last minute questions, feel free to send them into the chat or hop onto the moderation panel. If not, feel free to always email me. I check my email religiously, unfortunately, or feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Just hopefully mention you're from Hackcon, because I think I get confused sometimes and I don't always want to accept every invite. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming to the talk, especially to those who engage. I really appreciate it, and it really makes it feel like a lot more like the Hackcon experience that would be in New York than trying to be everyone at their computers around the world. So thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate you coming to my talk.